Okay. Yeah. Most of the ISPs they use OSPF as a protocol for IGP. So last session we saw we have two types of protocols. One is IGP and one is EGP. Under IGP we have three variants. One is RIP, OSPF and AHRP. Under EGP we have a variant called only BGP. So even an ISP who is using BGP on these corners, they will use OSPF inside for the normal reachability. So what they will be doing, they'll be running BGP from here to here, and from here to here, they'll be running OSPF. So I'm sorry, within the hops like this, they'll be running OSPF. OSPF metric is cost, which is opposite of bandwidth. So higher the bandwidth, lower the cost. So OSPF has three main tables. Once you build the OSPF configuration or once you configure it, first one is topology table, second is neighbor table, and third one is routing table. And by default, if there is no changes occur in an OSPF, for example, I built an OSPF neighborship between these two guys. See, OSPF has a feature or a setting like this. Until unless there is no change in the network, there won't be any refresh packet which will be sent over the link. So in the older protocols like RIP and AHRP, there was a refresh packet which goes every once in a often, just to refresh the whole routing table. But here, only when there is a change in the network, there will be a frame going with the change information. And by default, the refresh timer is 30 minutes here. So every once 30 minutes, your entire topology will be refreshed when there is no change in the network. So when there is a change in network, the refresh packet goes immediately. So for 30 minutes, if there is no change, every 30 minutes once, there will be a refresh packet flowing on. Let's talk about some of the overviews of OSPF. You can say OSPF is kind of a king of an IGP protocol because it works everywhere. A lot of 90% of the ISPs or 90% of the enterprise they're using OSPF only. OSPF is a link state protocol. Hope you guys remember while studying OSPF, I told it shares LSAs will be shared among the OSPF routers, link state advertisements. So because it is a link state protocol, we use link state advertisements, right? Okay. We can use n number of routers. So irrespective of counting of numbers, you can use a lot of routers, more than 100, 200, 300. But RIP and AHRP had some limitations. Because you're going to use a lot of routers, so there is a lot of chance that router CPU memory will go to very high peak. So that's why we are using area concept. So areas are used to group the router into multiple areas. So just to save the routing table size. See what OSPF says is this. OSPF says if I have configured three routers in an OSPF, if this guy has 100 routes, if this guy has 100 routes, again similarly 100. So in that case, these routes has to be shared among or between them. Okay. So each router will have around 300 routes in it. So what if we have like 10 routers? In that case, each router will have 1,000 routes. 1,000 or 10, yeah, 1,000 routes. So managing a very big routing table is a very big take for router. That's why it goes with area concept, where you're going to make these two routers into, these two interfaces of router to area 0, and this is as area 1. So the flow of LSA will be reduced. So instead of sending the whole routing table information, I'll be sending a default route this side. Yesterday we saw about default route. What is that? So the administrative distance of OSPF is 110. This is mainly used when the IGP want to choose a single path when it has multiple paths. For example, I have a router connection like this. So everything is good. Here I'm running OSPF. Here I'm running RIP. Just for the information, RIP's AD value is 120. My OSPF you guys know 110. So if I have two paths to choose, which path should I be choosing? This protocol or this protocol? It's purely based on the AD value. So lower the AD value will be best. OSPF uses multicast address. Remember, you have to remember this address 224005, and also it uses 224006. We'll talk about why V6 is used later. Okay, so let's talk about DR and BDR election. See, OSPF has a good feature. At the same time, that's also a bad feature. The feature says, if, for example, router A is into some problem, this link failed. In a single broadcast domain network, this issue or the link failure has to be informed to the all the neighbors. So the router A will inform router C, hey, the link got failed. Again to B, hey, link got failed. D, link got failed. So now router C, B, D, all of them received router A saying link got failed. See, the feature of OSPF says if a router receives an update, then the same update has to be sent to all the other OSPF routers without any restrictions. That's what it says. Now C has to inform the information to D. At the same time, C has to inform the information to B. So C will not inform A back because A is what informed, right? So C will inform D and B thinking that they don't know. Again, B has to inform C and D thinking they don't know. D will inform again him. So see, a lot of unwanted bandwidth will be wasted in this particular time. So that's why we use something called designated router, kind of a classroom monitor. So for example, this guy becomes the DR. DR is an election process. We'll talk about the election, very easy one. So that's when the designated router jumps in, kind of a class monitor. So once we have a DR in a broadcast network, if this link fails, the router has to inform only DR. He will not inform everyone else. And DR's duty is to inform everyone else. So how this particular router A is informing DR is with the help of multicast packet 224006. So destination IP of that particular segment will be 224006. Now router C will inform router B and D about the change. So now what will happen? Router B will think that, hey, I received from DR, so I will not send it to anybody else. So he will not send. Similarly, D will not send. So there is again a concept. What if my DR fails? That's where your BDR comes in, backup designated router. So whenever DR fails, BDR jumps in. Let's talk about DR election. Very easy one. So if you have a DR, so if you have a network like this, so between them there will be one DR, just for your information. Between them there will be one DR, either him or him. Between them there will be one DR. See, DR will be there for each and every network. You know, router breaks networks, right? This is network 1, network 2, network 3. So that's why we have 3 DRs here. Here I have a switch. The entire this piece of thing is of one network. So in that case, I'll be having single DR election. So let's talk about election. The election starts with highest interface priority. The router with highest interface priority will become DR. I think it's wrong. The first one is highest router ID. Then second one is interface ID. I will make it as. I'm sorry. It's not come here. Okay, now fine. Cool. Sorry guys for that. Okay. So first will be highest router ID. You guys know, right? Router ID is something we will be configuring. I'll talk about it again. So router ID is something we will be configuring on a router. So checks for highest router ID. If it is a tie or something like that, in that case, it will look for highest interface priority. Interface priority you have to configure on a single interface. Let's talk about router ID again. See, the main reason why I'm repeating this because yesterday's document which I've used is not that effective. I feel that's why. So what is router ID? We know it. Router ID is a name of a router to identify a single router. So for example, I have a router 1, router 2, R1, R2. You know it is R1, R2, but how this guy knows if he receives any OSPF frames or any OSPF packet, for this guy should understand that I am receiving from R1. So that's why we use router ID. We cannot send raw R1 or host name inside the OSPF packet. We have to send something equal to an IP address, which is a little bit long, but it can act as a name of a router. So there are three main ways of configuring or finding the router ID. First one is you can configure manually. Simple, just type router ID and the IP address. Then if you don't configure router manually, in that case, highest loopback IP will become the router ID. The reason why we are choosing highest loopback IP is because whenever a router reboots or something happens, the first interface which will come up is loopback IP, not your uh, physical IP. So if you don't have any loopback, in that case, your highest router interface IP. Guys, note down this. I'm saying highest router interface IP. I'm not saying the interface on which OSPF has been configured. There is an interview question, a very famous one. Still, people like to ask this question. For example, I'm running OSPF here, network 12.0.0.1. You guys, I want you guys to ping in chat. 2. I have another interface here, 8.8.8.8. So in that case, this is interface here. What will be the router ID of R1? Please ping in chat. Either this one or this one. I have another interface also. Interface IP is 18.1.2.3. But I'm not running OSPF on these routers and all. So on this interface, I'm not running OSPF. I'm running OSPF on this router on this particular link alone. So answer could be this one or this one or this one. I'm waiting for the answers. Naveen, kindly recheck your answer because I just included one more interface with the different IP address. Guys, I'm waiting for your answers. No, I want the complete router ID. The complete router ID will be 18.1.2.3. This will be the router ID. Okay, let's talk about hello packet. So once you enable OSPF on router 1 and router 2, every 10 seconds there will be a hello packet flowing here and there. These are the contents of the hello packet. And I have written here what has to be unique and what has to be same. For example, I'm enabling OSPF between this guy and this guy. So the hello packet carries router ID. Router ID means name. Area type, as of now, we can skip it. Just remember the name alone. Stub, totally stub, NSSA, and totally NSSA. We'll talk about this later. Area ID, of course, the area number has to be same. If I'm going to configure this interface to be part of area 1 and area 0, it will not work. It has to be same area. The interface should be belonging to same area. One more crazy thing is that subnet mask has to be same on the interface. You cannot configure different subnet mask on this interface. So if you configure 12.001 here, /8, here also it should be /8. You cannot put /16 and all. And this thing you can ignore. This will be only applicable on non-broadcast network. So you can route between two different IP segments when you're using a non-broadcast network. This you can ignore. The hello timer and dead interval has to be same. Guys, in interview, they will ask something like this. See, you can replace dead interval by hold on timer also. But the guy will specifically ask, is it a hold on timer or dead interval for OSPF? I'm not sure what's funny in asking this and entertaining the people who come for the interview, but they will ask this question, whether it's a dead interval or hold on timer. Remember these words. I don't know what they want to achieve. So let's talk about the states of OSPF. There are 7 states. Initially, I'll draw a diagram also here. Initially, when I enable OSPF, I don't receive any OSPF hello packet from neighbor. I'll be in down state. Once I hear a hello from neighbor, I'll be happy. I'll become init state. I'll be receiving a hello from neighbor with my own router ID in that neighbor. See the statement. I'm receiving hello from the neighbor with my own router ID in it. For example, my router ID is 1.1.1.1. I configure it. Here 2.2.2.2. Hello is multicasted, right? So initially this hello, when it went to init state, that hello didn't say that this hello is for you or who. That was just multicast. It's like a teacher coming into a classroom and saying that hi guys. He's not specifically pointing out one guy, Ramesh or Sundar or any one person to say hi or hello. The classroom. So say similarly here until this point. But two ways it happens when the teacher comes here with the person name. For example, hi Ramesh. So I'm saying hi Ramesh what? The teacher is saying the student's name. Similarly, R2 is sending R1's name in it. In that case, that will become two-way state. Attempt will be there only in NBMA where the multicast is not allowed it. So attempt will happen. So they will attempt to form a neighborship without sending any multicast traffic. This state you will see only in NBMA. It is not normal. So while telling to the interviewer, you can skip it. You can directly go to Xstart. So Xstart is what your router will prepare for to exchange LSA, and the master slave election happens here. Why master and slave? See, both of them have prefixes. For example, I have prefix 1, prefix 2, prefix 3, whatever IP address. Here also have prefixes. So what is LSA? LSA is a bucket where you'll be putting all the prefixes, right? Is a bucket where you put all the prefixes. So now I am ready with my LSA. He is also ready with my his LSA. Who will exchange first? For that, a master slave election will happen. And whose tie is highest interface IP. So once this completes, there will be an exchange state where your entire DBD packet will be exchanged. So what is DBD? DBD is a box full of LSAs like this. They will contain LSA in it. So once they exchange the DBD, if they are missing with any LSAs, in that case they'll be exchanging the LSAs in the loading state. Full means fully synchronized. It can be full DR, BDR, and DR other. So when you check show IP OSP of neighbor, here if it shows full DR, it means I am formed full neighborship with my neighbor who is DR. For example, he is DR and he is BDR. If you go and check here, it will show full slash BDR. It will say I formed neighbors with neighborship with a BDR router. For example, you have connection like this. You have like three routers on a network with a switch in between. He is a DR. He is a BDR. Who is he? He is a backup, not backup. So I'm sorry. It's a DR other. We normally call it as. So for him, the neighborship between this guy and this guy on this router, it will show neighbor is full slash DR other. Why we are only checking on the neighbors? Because the command you use to check this is show IP OSP of neighbor. That's why we are checking the neighbor information, not ours. Okay, again I derived it with a small output. Show IP OSP of neighbor is giving you what? Neighbor ID is this guy. I have formed full neighborship and he's a DR. It also gives you via which interface I formed a neighborship. This is not neighbor IP neighbor interface. This is my interface. So let's talk about OSP of network types. There are like four network types. One is broadcast. Broadcast means your multicast traffic will be allowed. You can think rapidly now. I will draw in the diagram here. See, this DR BDR election is needed when the update was exchanging unwantedly, right? So in a broadcast network that happens. In a point-to-point network, this won't happen. Update will come from him to him directly, from this guy directly, from him to him directly, and there won't be any exchange again. That's why we don't see any DR-BDR election here. Let's start from multi-access. Broadcast multi-access means it's a broadcast networks. Wherever you see a broadcast network, DR-BDR is must. So from DR and BDR, they use IP 224.0.0.6 to communicate. It's a multi-access network, so of course your OSPF will be OSPF multicast packet will be used. You don't need to manually configure neighborship because neighborship will be neighbor interface IP will be automatically find out with the help of the multicast packet. The command to change a network to be broadcast or point to point whatever, go inside the interface and type IP OSPF network, put question mark, you'll see all the four options, you can choose any one. This is interface command. In a point-to-point network, OSPF packet uses 224.0.0.5. As there is no BDR or DR election happens, so in that case, there won't be any 224.0.0.6 packet here. You don't need to manually configure it. In point-to-point, your multicast packet is allowed, but broadcast no. I'm sorry, multicast packet allowed, but sharing of same information again and again is no. So that's why no DR and BDR. So in point to multi-point again, this is also similar to point to point. There won't be any DR or BDR election. So when there is no DR BDR, it makes no sense to have 224006 in place. So we don't use it anymore. Again, your neighbor a guy will be figured out with the help of multicast packet. So you don't need to manually configure. Similarly, how to change it. This last one is non-broadcast multi-access. Here is what your attempt state will be going. I talked about attempt state. Here it will come. So DR BDR election happens here. You need to manually configure who is my neighbor, and the router will attempt to form neighborship with that guy. That's called non-broadcast multi-access. So let's talk about OSPF topology. We know about why we use area concept in OSPF, because we can use unlimited routers. Your CPU utilization will become very high because of the number of route process happens in each router. That's why to minimize the CPU utilization, we make areas by grouping the routers. So the router, so there are some keywords which you have to remember. For example, a router which belongs to multiple area is called area border router. So for example, I'm having R1 here. This is my OSPF area 0. This is my OSPF area 1. Area 1. So this router is called area border router. Okay. This router whose both interfaces belongs to area 0 is called internal router. If a router belongs to two different IGP protocol, this is OSPF, here it is AIGRP. That's called autonomous system boundary router. So again, the interviewer will ask one silly questions about its border or boundary. It's boundary router basically. So here you have to remember what is area border router, what are internal routers, what is autonomous system boundary router. And one more thing, while going through RFC, I figured it out. Area border routers, according to RFC, according to IEEE, are the routers which are connected between area 0 and area 1. If a router belongs to area 0 and area 1, that's called area border router. So whatever things mentioned in the RFC of area border router, that features will be supported by this guy, this router. If a router, this guy belongs to area 1 and area 2, this guy, according to RFC, you cannot say it as an area border router because it will not support all the features. But roughly, we can say it as an area border router. But according to the RFC, you should not say it. If an interviewer asks like this, you can mention this point that RFC says that a router between area 0 and area 1 is what border router. But this is also called as area border router. But all the features of actual ABR will not be supported here. Just for the information. So here you can simply see about these informations. I'm having area 0 here. So this guy belongs to both area 2 and area 0. He is ABR. Again, he is an ABR. This guy belongs to both AIGRP and OSPF area. He is called ASBR. Very useful. So let's talk about these external routers. We have two types. Again, E1 is okay. E1 is best. E2 is preferred. Preferred means by default your OSPF will take E2 routes, but it finds E1 routes for the same destination prefix, it will take it will consider using E1 routes. Difference between E1, E2 or type 1, type 2 is very simple. For example, I'm learning a prefix here 1.1.1.1 on R1. Type 1 route will have both the cost of R1 to reach ASBR and ASBR's cost to reach this R4. This metric as well as this metric. Type 2 will have only ASBR cost to reach the particular destination. Type 2 routes will not have for the cost of me reaching the SBR. That's a difference. Very important interview question. Very, very important. For sure, they will ask you what is difference between E1 and A2. So let's talk about LSAs. We have been talking about LSAs quite a while. What is LSAs? You can simply say all the LSAs kind of a cover or bucket where you put your IP prefix information. So think of a big bucket called LSA. This is LSA. I am LSA. Inside which you will put all the prefixes. Now, based on the IP address you put, the LSA name gets changed. Let's see, for example, we have totally 11 types of LSAs, but in use for CCNA is only 6. Others are used in CCNP and CCIE level. No need to worry about that as of now. Let's talk about what is type 1 LSA. Each router, for example, I have enabled OSPF here in the network. All are OSPF area 0. So router LSA means it lists all the routers or routes local to the routers. For example, if I go and check on this router LSA, it will give you this IP address, whatever IP address I have enabled for OSPF, it will show on this place. So it is generated by all the routers, one per link. So for example, I have enabled OSPF here, 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 and here. So total number of router LSA will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. There will be four router LSA. Each links generates 1. Network LSA is generated by DR only. It is generated by it will be generated like 1 per link. It defines the list of links in an area. You have to remember about scope. Scope is within area for a type 1. It means type 1 LSAs cannot go beyond a single area. Again, type 2, scope is within the area. For example, I have these 3 routers. Total number of type 2 LSA will be 2. How many links are there? 1 link and 2 link. You can think in that way. Or else how many DRs will be here? For example, he is a BDR. For these 2 links, he is BDR and he is DR. For these 2 links, he is a BDR and he is a DR. So how many DR are there? 2. If there are 2 DR, you will be finding 2 type 2 LSAs. Let's talk about third one, network summary LSA. This is generated by the ABR. See, if I have a area 0, this one, area 1. So instead of sharing all, so this guy is ABR, right? Area border router. So instead of sharing all the routes to my neighbor guy, what I'll be doing, I'll be sharing a summarized route. That's called network summary, type 3. So it is generated by ABR and scope of this is between only 2 areas from year to year. This summarized route cannot flow from area 1 back to area 2 or area 3. Let's talk about ASBR LSA. Again, if I have a AGRP guy, here I have AGRP. Let me draw like this. Okay. Here I have EHRP router. This is called what? ASBR. So ASBR LSA is heard by ASBR routers. I believe this meeting is going to get over. Guys, kindly rejoin in next 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you. We'll talk about this.